Alright, welcome everybody to the Season 65 Dominion League Championship. This is between yurikamome and Qsenoch. I'm here commentating with breppert. You can say hi.
Oh.
Okay, and I think we're just gonna get into it. Mick needs 3 wins to claim the championship. He's up 1 game in the standings. They tied the regular season match, so 3.5 will be good enough for yurikamome, which I am surely pronouncing wrong, but we have a game to discuss. So I guess let's get to discussing it.
I mean, this certainly seems like something where Paddock draw will potentially be a factor late on, but you've got other draw, you've got sort of everything you want here, and the question is just going to be what's the fastest build.
Yeah, I'm also kind of wondering, like, depending on how your draw goes early, whether you even bother putting Paddock in, like, over a mining road ever, just because the mining road's going to provide buy and this pools will draw enough for you, maybe. So that's...
Yeah, your deck might be in shape where you just don't need the horses.
Yeah. I guess the other thing is that like, even if you do go towards more pool draw, you may end up wanting to add the Paddocks later, just because you'll be putting potentially loots in with Foray that may end up being a little bit cheaper than continuing to buy these 5 costs. I'm trying to think, like, what would end up that you have excess of, and I think it's, like, pretty easy to conceive that you'd maybe have, like, Exorcist, a Scrying pool and a village or a Patrician or something like that. Wisp. Could be something where you're able to foray every turn.
Yeah, I could certainly see that. I mean, you'll have the copper. You probably have the copper for a while as well, I would imagine. You're not going to get all the way thin here.
Yeah. Let's see. Expected openings. I think this is Exorcist, maybe Wishing Well. On the other split, Mick actually has the opportunity to enhance that pouch, but did not, which I think is maybe a little bit questionable. Yuri here doesn't have the greatest of all draws, not seeing an estate with the Exorcist, but seeing the tracker turn 3 is probably when you wanted it, and the boon was good enough to get a 4. I think this might end up being Potion, or something to get through the deck a little bit more. Okay, it's Potion.
Yeah, certainly nice to be able to add the Scrying pool. That shuffle makes up for the lack of the estate trash.
Yeah. Surprised Mick is holding this at... Oh, okay, it's an Enhance. Mick has discovered Enhance.
Enhance does seem really nice here.
I was going to say discarding that pouch could end up being a little bit rough, but the draw ended up being okay. So it looks to me like Yuri probably has the early lead, especially with these pools actually, getting through the deck as they are.
Being 2 up in pools is a pretty big deal early on in a game like this.
Yeah.
We'll be able to top deck another pool here very well.
Yeah.
Of course, Mick will as well, but Mick will not have 2 more pools down in the deck.
Yeah, I'm trying to think here, like, I guess Mick will be able to discard the top card. It could be sad if that ends up being Exorcist, but... Oh, you could actually top deck another Wishing Well and be sure to guess correctly on that. That might be something to consider, especially with the pouch still around.
Yeah, it's nice for that turn, and of course it's also nice, Mick having more Wishing Wells. You don't necessarily need as many Scrying pools to get going with the draw.
Yeah, I think the main thing is, like, if you have fewer pools, then Paddock does become more appealing just to get that start of turn consistency. Although I think we may be somewhat far from that, just because there's a lot to put in before you can put in a Paddock here. Like, you probably need to be putting in Village, you probably need to be putting in, maybe just Village. You have to be putting in Paddock to play Paddock. Imagine that.
Yeah. But you do need, those 9 coin buys, and you've got scrying pools you need to be buying, so we are a little bit far away from being able to go that way.
Yeah, these potion decisions are always a little bit funky. I think I would have discarded there, but it's tough with the potion just because you do really want to keep the turn going, but you also want to be buying pool.
Yeah, it's always tough. You feel like both decisions are negative.
Yeah, actually similarly with the pouch here for Yuri, this is the only plus buy in the deck, so it's not exactly clear whether you want to try to get through or you actually want to be sure to get the buy, even if it is just for a 2 cost.
Right. Yeah, Lex to not try and get the buy, which I guess trying to find the Exorcist is pretty nice, just Yuri is a little bit behind trashing wise.
Yeah. What, Yuri's trashed 2 cards? 3? Had a Flame's Gift, maybe? Had the Flame. I remember seeing it. I know Mick had the Flame, so Mick is at 4 cards trashed to Yuri's 2. A little bit more scrying pool can maybe make up that difference for a bit, but in the end, if you do want to be doing more of the loot payload than the buying 5 cost actions, you do want to have minimal non-actions in the deck doing that. This will be interesting to see if Yuri tries to get back to the pouch. The answer was no. I think the answer probably should have been yes. Just with only 3 cards in there.
Yeah, I think, right, so you've got a good chance of finding it.
Yeah.
And you might top deck a couple bad cards you don't want to.
Yeah, I'm almost expecting this to be a mining road, just based on a reaction to this turn. Yeah. I don't know that it's the best thing to be doing, just because it does seem like kind of a reaction to not having the buy this turn. But the assumption would be that, if you buy more draw, you will see the pouch, and at some point you do want to be increasing payload with the mining road, but there was this possibility this turn that you just add more draw and you get your plus buy all the same.
Yeah, as long as you draw, the mining road here is quite nice, and obviously plays with Foray quite nicely.
Yeah,
but it does not help you draw. And Mick does see a dud here, though, so I would say that Mick was sort of catching up a little bit, because you're able to get the starter turn consistency here. Top deck bought scrying pools, and Mick's a little bit thinner, had more wishing wells. But obviously this dud does not help with that.
I guess there's 2 pools and 2 wisps down there, so what Mick's probably trying to figure out right now is whether he thinks he's going to be drawing well next turn, because if you think you're going to be drawing well, you might opt for a mining road, whereas if you don't, you'd be more inclined to take something that does draw. So Mick thinks that this turn's going to be going well. I'm a little bit... I'm not sure if Yuri should have burned that second wisp over the wishing well. I guess wishing well's the same. I'm trying to think what Yuri needs to both trash estate and Foray this turn, and the answer may be that that's just completely impossible, but
you probably needed fairly perfectly behaved scrying pools to make that happen.
Yeah, bottom deck 2 of them, so it's not that could have, I guess, not happened. It was just I mean, this seems like a fine turn, doesn't it?
Yeah, adds the payload and continues to push the pedal on just having lots of scrying pulls and draw cards now in general. Seems like a pretty good spot to be.
So I think Yuri's up to being probably consistent. Mick probably will have a foray opportunity here, so I'd say they're probably maybe about even. Yuri has like this kind of half-turn advantage, which is, I don't know, after it kind of wavering back and forth, I guess we're just back to what the game started as.
Yeah, that seems right to me. I think Yuri has maybe a little bit more ability to add payload and have the deck stay alive, but I'm not sure that that's true. Yeah. They're both in the same place, really, as far as how much payload they have in the deck.
Yeah, I mean, Mick is actually still, like, substantially more trash down. Like, has the same number of states out, but I think actually has 3 extra coppers out. No, just 2. Or one extra copper out. In any case. I think Mick's probably not playing this tracker. Can go for, like, discard Wishing Well. Let's see what I know. I was going to say discard Wishing Well, copper something. I guess at this point you can safely discard the pouch just because you do have the plus buy from Mining Road and you expect your loot to have plus buy. But whether that's a good expectation, we'll see. Definitely expecting a blessed village here. We have not seen wind, but with blessed village it also doesn't matter. I guess with tracker it does. I think we were talking a little bit about Paddock earlier, and one other actually sort of notable thing about Paddock here is that you can enhance your horses, so it does lower the cost of 5 costs a little bit. I don't know that I feel like they're still maybe a little bit far from that stage, but it is something that maybe plays some amount of role in the decision to buy that or not. Or you just keep going on forays and you're happy with that. I mean, eventually you can enhance the loots too. It's just you need money and buys to be doing that at a rate, and when your money and buys is coming from loot, it makes it a bit tougher.
Yeah, I think Foray as primary payload here does make sense, but I also, Mick is only buying a Paddock away from adding the Paddock at this point, having the plus village now, so I can see it being worth it to add that in, and you get that nice horse enhance capability, and it's just a little extra payload. I could see it, but Foray is going to be the priority. Yeah. As much as you can, I would think.
I almost wonder if that Earth's Gift kind of, I don't know. My feeling is still that Yuri's like this kind of little bit of half turn ahead, but, well, this turn's not going the most amazing right now. Okay, it resolved itself. My feeling is that Yuri's still kind of that half turn ahead, but the Earth's Gift really helped out, so maybe it's maybe more of a quarter turn right now, whatever that means. I just feel like getting to the loot a little bit quicker has made the difference, and with them both drawing consistently, it's not like, being less thin is actually hurting Yuri at this point.
It very nearly did. Although even then, Yuri would have drawn most of the things that he would have liked to have seen.
Yeah, it would have been down, 2 coppers? So, maybe not the worst outcome. Even down 1 copper, I guess you'd have had to draw one of the coppers to actually fully dud. Here, I guess if you draw that copper, your foray would be tracker, pouch, copper. So this is really a decision of whether you want a copper on top or whether you want to play tracker. Apparently the answer is you clear the copper on top and you play tracker. Who would have guessed?
To do both. And that sextant was going to be doing that anyways, but yeah, we're really going to make sure.
Yeah, okay. I think this tracker decision is going to make sense then. Sword should be pretty much irrelevant on the attack end. I wonder if there's like some actual best loot that you can think of here. It would be one that says +2 buys on it. There was a loot at some point that said that was just like +3 coins, +2 buys, and the extra buy was the bonus. Yeah,
that seems like it would be not in my top 10 of most annoying loots.
Yeah. I don't know. Hammer seems like, I feel like, you get the 4 costs off of it, but maybe the plus buy is actually just more valuable here because, like, you can't hammer and enhance. You can't hammer a foray. And those are kind of, things that you want, especially once pool gets towards emptying, which I'm sure it will. Then I'm thinking you probably just want the 5 cost. Like, Paddock's may be more valuable than anything you could be buying for 4.
Yeah, all the loot seems fairly equal here, though. More so than normal. Yeah. Although, just right, the plus buy stuff is the good stuff.
I mean, once you have the plus buy, the doubloons is actually okay because it just gives you another enhanced feeder.
Yeah, it's nice here for that.
Probably Chalice is going to be the worst one. I guess Insignia is completely useless. It's just a gold.
Yeah, Insignia clearly quite bad here. And something like Figurehead would be not that great either.
Yeah, Figurehead and Chalice are both a little bit scary just because they go out of deck when enhancing is something that you kind of maybe want to be doing with your loots. You heard it first. You heard it here first. Durations are bad.
Certainly can be when you get to have these explosive decks that just play everything anyways. But both players fairly close to, I'd say not dudding, but they're not overdrawing by a lot, certainly.
Yeah. I wonder what Mick is going to be targeting here on this turn, like in addition to the loot. Like, you might be thinking that, if you don't end up with a ton of coin, that like one of these wishing wells could be becoming a Paddock or another mining road. I guess depending on like how the rest of this draw goes, I assume this pool is getting played. You could do a discard something like Wishing Well, Copper, Pouch for the Foray, and then enhance the other Wishing Well. I don't actually know what the money situation is. I guess that last card is the Orb. I guess the Orb got discarded at some point.
So here the sword causing that Exorcist to discharge seems to have actually created a bit of an annoyance for Mick.
Yeah, done something. Although this can just be a wish for copper, and like surely you'll find the orb properly if you do that. I think copper is the thing. Oh, there's a wisp in there. Oh, wisp mining road orb. There was no copper. Don't wish for copper. Wishing for copper is bad. when it's not in there. You should wish for things that are in your deck when you want to draw. That's my next big insight for the day.
Just churning out more A-League talent with tips like that. This is a pretty nice Winds Gift.
Yeah, I think this was a little bit like on edge of whether it was going to draw or not. And now there's no doubts. I guess the one problem is that if you do want to enhance a wishing well, you'll potentially be top decking a copper. But I guess you could also be thinking about exorcisting the wishing well, although I think enhancing it probably gets you a better card. You could also enhance the exorcist at this point if you're like fine with having this amount of copper in your deck, right? I don't know that after this turn Mick's going to be quite comfortable, but you may also not really have the room to worry about being 100% comfortable with drawing your deck from Mick's current position.
Yeah, I'd be very concerned about stopping trashing copper here as Mick, but also I'd be concerned about just losing by being behind in payload. So you have to balance those worries.
Yeah, like maybe an enhanced Exorcist to Paddock would be the consistency boost you'd be looking for.
Yeah, that seems pretty good to me.
Well, based on this stopping, I'm guessing. Oh, Mick might actually be going for a double foray here. I think that's what's happening. So that's even more aggressive than... Okay, never mind. I was going to say, that's even more aggressive than I was thinking, and apparently it was determined to be overly aggressive.
That would have meant not buying Scrying Pool, right?
You have the,
the mining road.
Yeah. Ooh, you have shield to defend against your, sword attacks. If you ever had it in hand at the start of turn, which you would actually really like not to do. I'm looking at this Foray art so people can't actually see what's happening on the recording. It's very clever. There's like these rocks and then there's lots of fire going on, like two things burning down. Mick decided a little bit of extra copper trashing was desired, but I would not be surprised if that's the last one.
Yeah, you can see the other stuff just being better. It also is the first time I'm looking at the Foray art as well. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah. It was like, that one has almost as much stuff going on as Woodworkers Guild, I'm gonna say. It's like, actually competitive. I didn't think there was art competition for Woodworkers Guild, but Foray might get there.
This is all news to me. I have only a vague awareness of the color of most cards. I hope we get Woodworkers Guild, so I don't have to look it up and I get to see it today.
Drawing out here, I'm guessing that the next card play is going to be a tracker. Yuri might actually be in position to double Foray this turn pretty easily, even with a copper trash, which I'm guessing is going to be the goal. And I mean, I think buying Foray is probably better than getting this gold. It seems a little bit, you can discard 3 coppers, be pretty likely to draw through. Although I think it would eliminate your ability to get the second Foray. Okay. Yeah, I think this is a setup for 2 Forays then.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. It was going to always be tough to discard and then draw stuff back. It was going to take a lot of the cards out of the hand to do that. It seems fairly not worth it.
Whoa. Yeah, okay, that last copper is not getting played. And you actually don't want to play 2 of the coppers, right? You want to trash one and you want to discard at least 1. Like, ideally you enhance the silver. Maybe it was better to hold, like, actually 3 coppers back than you could do Forays with the 4 action cards and a copper each. Enhance the silver, Exorcist a copper. I feel like the silver is getting held back for maybe Exorcist rather than an enhance, which, I mean, enhance costs a buy, but I think it just gets you a better card out of it.
Yeah, the Paddock or Mining Road both of those are.
Oh, don't play that insignia. Don't play that insignia. There we go. You want to play your next loot, not the insignia. Watch this, it'll be like Chalice or something.
I think Chalice is the only one that's not just, like, clearly worse. Or clearly better.
Yeah, so like if you hold Nectar Copper back, you don't have the coins, but I was gonna say, like, if you somehow produce 10 coins like this, you could be buying pool enhancing and buying a 5, but that's not actually true. Could also think about double enhancing here. Yuri still does have a lot of copper, but with, 6 scrying pools, maybe you're a little bit more comfortable with that.
Yeah, if you have 6 scrying pools, and next shuffle might be a little dodgy, but then if you add Paddocks, you're not going to be dudding.
Yeah, I mean, you have the pool on top. The scrying pools are out, so you could just, like, enhance to 2 Paddocks here, and probably be good the rest of the game.
Yeah, I think you'd be probably not quite 100% to draw next turn, but it'd be very high chances, and then you would just win, assuming that you do.
Or Mining Road Paddock. Either way, really.
Right. I think Mining Road Paddock would be probably my default assumption for what would be best.
I don't know, like, there's enough buy from the loots. Like, you're taking 2 Paddocks this turn, probably you're enhancing the insignia to Province next turn. I mean, this game does definitely not look like it's ending on piles, although that could be something that I regret saying. I don't see a world where this isn't ending on provinces from, especially from enhancing loots.
Yeah, I don't really see what the third pile would be, because it would be crazy to continue taking more mining roads at this point for either player, and Paddocks are at 10, so...
Yeah, like, one of the piles would have to be estates, and I don't think there's the buy to do anything else on with it, so... Mix. I was trying to figure out what the mid-turn... I guess you're trying to think, like, do I want to play a Wishing Well first? Or do I want to play a Wisp first, maybe?
it seems you've got some Foray stuff to be thinking about, as you're doing your turn here, certainly.
Yeah, I mean, that's I guess why the pool is getting held back, so I think Mick's probably just going to try to get through the rest of this with Wisp, which is surely doable. Yeah, 1 card, imagine that. Can you get through 1 card with 5 Wisps? Probably.
Boy, have to run the Sims to be sure.
Yeah, so this is going to be, this almost has to be 2 Forays. I wonder if you can fit in 3, like what would it be? Pool, Wisp, Copper, Wisp, Wishing Well, Copper, Wisp, Wishing Well, Copper. You want to enhance the Exorcist anyways, so you can do that. And that's looking at probably next turn being the start of greening. At this point, you actually desperately wanted doubloons. Amazingly.
Doubloons is be a lifesaver. It saves you a whole Foray at this point.
Yeah.
It says, you really just want to be hammering, enhancing your loots at the end here. And, well, hammer was no pun intended.
I guess the other thing Mick's probably looking at is you can Exorcist the potion. Or enhance the potion. That's something that should happen before Exorcist. Certainly.
Yeah.
So maybe
you're going to... has less use.
Yeah, maybe you're going to Foray the Exorcist instead of something I was trying to say earlier.
One of those things where both cards are pretty useless at this point, but one is objectively more useless.
Yeah. The other thing you can do is you could have held that copper back and you could have enhanced both the potion and the Exorcist. Maybe even both to Mining Road. We were saying Mining Road wasn't going to pile, but, you start looking at, what do I need for my deck to be consistent, and if the answer is nothing, then adding more plus buy is surely better than adding the horses.
Yeah, if you're sure you're going to draw anyways. Because we'll take the buy, and you can always buy coppers on your last turn and play them all sorts of reasons that Mining Road is nicer than Paddock if you're sure you're drawing, which is not too crazy to think with this deck composition.
Well, if we're going after 3 Forays, that could have been a Mining Road there, and you'd actually get to play all the loots. So this is indicating to me that Mick is not going after 3 Forays. There's the doubloons you want. And there's not going to be another Foray here because that would be dreadfully inconsistent with having taken the Paddock off the spell scroll. Alright, we're going to turn this potion into... I think it maybe should actually be a Wisp, but it's an Imp. I guess you get to top deck it. Don't mind me.
Yeah, top deck Imp is basically nice. First one.
Yeah. This is scary looking. Never mind. Everything comes through in the end.
A couple times now for Yuri.
Yeah. I think that's just having the 5 copper still around is not the most amazing thing ever when you see all 5 of them right away in your turn, but you saw even with that, Yuri's still drawing just fine.
Yeah, was still several cards away from dudding at all points there, even with the bottom decking most of the pools. And having all the copper up top.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's enough crud in each of the decks that I think that it's really hard to see anybody resigning here ever. No, I think the game.
There's always the chance you get 5-stop cards.
Yeah.
Although with Paddock Tracker, you can bet against that a bit.
I'm surprised that Insignia was played so fast. Although I guess, like, I mean, they have both clicked on Enhance. I'm pretty sure, like, Mick enhanced a Copper to Tracker early. I'm trying to think, like, the reason for playing this Insignia right away might be that you're trying to make sure that Mick doesn't see Enhance until it's too late.
Don't play with the kingdom to make your opponent not play with that part of the kingdom either trick.
Yeah. That's the trick. I'm still not sure, like, you know, Mick did the Exorcist potion last turn, but I'm still really not sure if, like you can enhance both of those instead. I don't know what Mick ended up with. Like, it was 5 coins. You could potentially enhance one of those into Paddock instead of Exorcisting one. Or if you were to have done the Mining Road and triple Foray. I don't know. I'm trying to, like, think theoretically about what would be in deck, and I can't do it.
The numbers here are high enough to make that a prohibitive exercise.
Yeah.
It does seem not crazy to me to think, okay, enhances our next turn, as Steph is saying. Although a lot of the provinces are going to be gone.
Yeah, I think Mick might actually be in range for 5 provinces. Yeah. Yeah, Steph wants to expand the ability to gain provinces next turn, which for that you are looking at having more things costing 6-7. I guess the question there is which green.
Seems like 2 provinces would be scary to take, but 0 would also be scary as well. Maybe 1 is the answer.
Like, I wouldn't be confident that Mick. I have 0 confidence that Mick can actually take 5 provinces, but on the other hand, you don't really want to find out the hard way. But you also have to think, like, you know, no matter what I do here, like, if I take 1 province, can I actually beat Mick taking 5? And probably the answer is no. I guess you end up with like 30. You can buy 6 duchies, and you're still losing. Maybe you can get 10 duchies. That seems difficult.
It's hard to come by. But it does seem like you might be able to put yourself in a position to take the entire duchy pile. But you'd really rather, of course, be having provinces. But Yuri's in a tough spot here.
If you foray and get Chalice, do you skip playing it? I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, at this point, I think, you'd skip it. You have enough buys.
It's an awkward puzzle box.
You don't really like taking things out of your hand.
Yeah. You're looking at 2x enhance. If you're looking at exorcisting the potion as the thing you were going to do at the end of this, you set aside. I really hope that it doesn't end up being exorcisting the potion. Like there's so much more deck value to be gained from enhancing.
I could have 2x enhanced, but is choosing to top deck Patricians instead.
Yeah, I think this is probably playing a little bit too scared. Does Mick have the buys to pile Emporium Wishing Well? Might not be the money there either.
I think is short on buys.
I mean, you're going to have the horses from Paddock, so the number of enhanced targets shouldn't be a problem for that.
Yeah, to get there coins-wise. I've not tracked exactly how many buys Mick has, but 9 seems like too many based on the loot that I've seen come out.
Yeah, let's see. I mean, there's 2 mining roads about, and we're going to say Mick probably has a maximum of 4 or 5 loots, so if Mick had the +2 buys loot, that would be different.
Just has the extra gold loot.
Yeah. So I think if there's going to end up being a win this turn, it would still be the provinces, which that may be out of range too. I think it's probably close, but if I had to guess, it's probably out of range.
Yeah, it's sort of tough to reach that 5 buys.
Yeah, when you're keeping. Well, I mean, there's the doubloons. So like you have 2 mining roads and 2 loot plays. Then you have 3 things to enhance or 4 things to enhance. Yeah, I think it's going to be there.
Yeah, I haven't tracked how many loot Mick has, but I think if you have 4 loot in addition to the doubloons, that's enough. Or just 3, I guess, right? In addition to the doubloons. So, pretty sure Mick does have that.
Yeah, I mean, I think as Mick, like the like number one thing you're trying to do here is draw. I'm guessing Mick probably has a better idea of the deck, like would know if this 5 provinces is actually possible. But doubloons, orb, shield. I don't think Mick has another one. I don't recall, anyways.
That would put Mick 1 short.
I mean, plausibly the money will be there anyways, but having to...
Does Mick still have the pouch?
Yeah. Right
so
there.
The buys are there.
So you're going to have to enhance gold doubloons, orb, say, there's like 8, 9 coins, 10, 11, 12, 13. I don't think the money is there.
Yeah, I'm coming up short counting money as well.
Yeah. Maybe if we'd gotten the third foray last turn, things would be different. You know, had we gotten the third foray last turn, factually things would be different. For example, Mick probably would have done it after drawing nothing but loot at the start of the turn, but that's still unlikely. I'm just, theorizing. That's
certainly possible. It's also possible, right? It could have led to Mick just winning, but
yeah. You wanna get your enhanced targets when you need to be enhancing. In that case, I think Mick is toast. I think there is no set of buys that will save him, given that Yuri's going to draw.
Yeah, I would agree with that. There's no way you can score enough points here that, Yuri's got enough buys to just green any way that Yuri wants to.
I guess Yuri could top deck all the loots and all the coppers, and the boon that's set aside is gain a silver, so that's not going to do any good. If you're really worried about dudding, though, I guess you can play the Patricians first, and those will potentially... It would have to be some order of coppers and loots on top of the deck right now to stop things up.
You'd really have to stack the deck, I think, to prevent it from being drawn at this point. That's such a good hand. Which I guess really does justify what Yuri did last turn in terms of greening to set up this turn well and score just enough.
I've certainly been scared of 2 provinces, Yuri, but I'm not sure there was another option, really.
Yeah, if you had tracked mixed deck capabilities perfectly, then I think you would have known it was safe, but I wouldn't have.
So, assuming you get a Mega Dead from Yuri where he draws like all the coppers, the 2 provinces, and some of the loots. Plausibly, you would take I think you still have to take 0 provinces in that case. Just because or maybe just 1. If you're considering what Yuri does on that turn, it's probably still being able to double or triple province.
Yeah, that seems that you have to play for the dud to be still pretty good.
Yeah.
But mostly you're in despair.
Alright, well we're gonna go get more enhanced targets. Two forays here. Not 2 forays. This is going to be like province. I almost feel like you just take duchy over Emporium, especially since Emporium is another pile lower. Not that that matters a whole lot.
Yeah, the point is better than the coin next turn, just straight up.
Yeah. I guess now you're thinking, like, if Yuri takes 5 provinces, I lose anyway, so I may as well take one of those.
Yeah. So you get so aggressive that you set yourself up to dud next turn that you don't get to play anyways.
I mean, I think you have to be somewhat aggressive against this, but...
Yeah, you do. Because you can leave the provinces just knowing that you can always come back around for them next turn. If Carrie doesn't take them all.
It's interesting to play pool first, and by interesting I mean probably not great. Like, it'll work out, but I'd be playing my filtery cards, that is, like, the Patricians first.
Yeah.
Much better was Emporium than that third duchy. I think in any world in which Yuri is able to empty Emporium plus Wishing Well is also able to take 5 provinces, so I would say you're definitely wanting to take an Emporium over duchy. At least one.
Yeah. Let's hope you...
I really wish Yuri would stop playing these pools before the filtery stuff. It's stressing me out.
It is odd, especially in this deck where you really have a lot of stuff you are interested in filtering out.
Yeah.
And also having in hand rather than in your discard pile. Right? You want your Patrician to draw those loots. Are very nice.
The idea is that, like, your worst case scenario is your deck is stacked with a bunch of loot and copper on top, and if it's not, you'll draw anyways. So let's get that stuff out of the way before we start trying to do our bulk draw.
Certainly seems like everything will be brought to hand here, though.
Yeah. Okay. Can this do 5 provinces? I mean, I'm sure it can without counting much, but...
Yes is the answer.
Okay. There it is. Just play one of these loots and then you can enhance the rest. Yeah, right. Yeah, I thought it was gonna be like maybe even able to buy one of them, but it didn't end up being the case. I think Mick actually could have been in position to to do that with another loot. I mean, we know Mick would have been in position to do that with another loot. So maybe it take 2 loots. Not sure. Anyways, yeah, one to Yuri as first player. So if you want to think about it as first player always wins, Mick is still in great position, although that's clearly not true.
It's important as first player. There's a
can't-
lot that happens after that.
you can't enhance victory cards, so province to province is not an option. I'm just gonna mention. Alright, so Mick will probably open Stockpile, and then there's a decision. Yuri, I feel like you just want to open... I mean, my temptation is just to click Captain and try to play Maroon twice. Seems good. So
yeah.
You might want to think a little bit more about something like a Sea Witch Stockpile start. I just... Captain's there. I can click on it. It seems like a great thing to do. I mean, it's maybe not like the most amazing thing ever later, just because it does kind of have these limited options. You can only play Conspirator or Maroon with it, but like plausibly you're okay with doing that just to get the extra trashing in early.
Yeah, I mean, it's a situation where if you get your captain, like, turn 3, and all of a sudden you're in a position where you're probably winning.
Yeah. I guess other notable things about this board. Stockpile is the only buy other than Tactician. You can probably end up running Tactician okay here. Like, there's Conspirator for coins, there's Bazaar for coins. Though it's pretty unclear whether the game gets to there. Like, curses and stockpiles should be piling most likely. So I don't think you get into a position where you can actually run this Tactician deck, which is really slow to build up. You can trash them with Maroon, like, surely you'll do that, some of that. We could end up in kind of an awkward situation where they, like, need to green with the stockpiles, just because if you don't, you'll lose, just because Stockpile and Curse are out. But then after they do that, there's no real way to make the game go forward at any sort of rate. Just because, like, all the payload will be in exile. Or all of the major payload will be in exile.
Yeah, the transition out of Stockpile here is really awkward. So maybe you just don't get much of one.
Looks like it's going to be Sea Witch. Make ops for the trashing, which is quite reasonable, I think. This will be an interesting buy for Mick. I'm trying to think what, like, next turn I guess is hitting 5. As Yuri, I'm surely just taking another Sea Witch right here. Like, if one Sea Witch is good and you saw it turn 3, let's play another one turn 5 at the latest.
Stuff. I'm not so sure that this U-Witch is all that great here. Lots of ways to get the curses out, although cursing is just hardly ever that bad of a decision. And of course, Sea-Witch does other nice things too.
Alright, so they both picked up Innovation. That's also sort of useful for trashing. Like, even if you're not buying a duration, like Tactician could be something that you buy and innovate. But even if you're not buying a duration, you can go whatever you buy. It's like it's almost like a plan on everything if you really want.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty nice. Scout. And yeah, really nice with all these orange cards here. This should be captain already. I think it's sort of bearing out that I would have really liked to see the captain instead of the Sea Witch from Yuri.
Yeah. I mean, I think the idea with the Sea Witch early is that you get to overwhelm with curses before they can really, do something about it. But there just wasn't actually a follow up on that, right? Mick is being surprised here by the fact that Captain drew a card, is my guess. I'm guessing that was not the idea.
Didn't have the option to make Captain not draw a card. Yeah. I guess Stables play would be a 5 cost, so you can't do that. What am I saying?
You could have actually marooned nothing, but then you wouldn't have gotten the stockpile back, which was the main objective there. Anyway, my guess is this is going to be stockpile captain. Curses are not going to end up running because there was 0 follow-up on the opening Sea Witch. And that's just going to take forever to empty curses on its own if there's only one of them.
Yeah, I think we will see now. Time to transition into this Tactician deck, which it's faster with innovation as well to do that.
Whoa. I am stunned by that Conspirator play. Genuinely, I thought that was going to be trashing an estate. But I guess with only the one Sea Witch out, Mick is a little bit less feeling trash needy. And is actually trying to maybe get up to this other deck that isn't just playing stuff to draw stockpiles and do that.
Yeah, but you do need to add the Bazaars at some point for that Tactician deck to start working.
And I'm still not that convinced we're going to see the Tactician deck. I'm not sure what Mick is going to, or what they're exactly going to transition into post stockpile. I'm just looking at the decks, and they're not you potentially get more value out of just going to I don't know, some stables and consistently single provincing, just because that Tactician deck takes so long to get to. You need so many Conspirators, you need so many Bazaars, for it to outdo something that doesn't have plus buy.
Right. I could see.
I'm not sure I would consider emptying stockpile here, but you might take 2 of them.
Taking 3, obviously it denies Mick, but it puts Yuri in a spot where Yuri just has so little else going on in the deck.
Yeah. Actually, you could have taken a captain there and played it as Conspirator too, right? Or played Conspirator with it and taken the last stockpile that way. Even if you're emptying stockpiles, there was that opportunity.
Yeah, it seems pretty worth it. Well, was that 11? Could have only taken 2 stockpiles, I think, with the captain.
11 minus 6 is 5. Yeah, okay. You do math better than I do. Still could have bought a Conspirator, right?
Yeah,
even if it wasn't a captain one, which I think is plausibly better. There's not a whole lot in the deck to support Conspirator right now, which means Yuri's kind of in this odd lack of real deck control situation, which does not seem amazing, which is, that seems like a real point against the 3 stockpiles, is that sure, you have the stockpiles and Mick doesn't get them, but Like, is Mick in a better position just to be able to instantly transition into this single province deck? Maybe, given your lack of control, throw in a witch or a sea witch and start giving some curses.
Yeah, it doesn't seem... Right, you're just going to have a couple of turns at least to get through this shuffle.
Mm-hmm. Mick does here with this captain. You want to play it, but, what do you actually do with it? The Conspirator's going to draw, which is awkward and bad. You could have maybe goaded the Maroon. Mm-hmm. Plausibly,
the Maroon itself is not that good anymore.
Yeah, plausibly, with 3 captains in the deck, you don't actually need a real Maroon. And, that having to shuffle there, or drawing the card, especially since it was Bazaar, did not seem great. I mean, it was unlikely to be the Bazaar, but nonetheless.
I guess if you trigger that shuffle and it's not the Bazaar, you're quite happy, which is quite likely to happen.
Yeah. Yuri's kind of the same situation here, where it's not clear, you want to get the captain out, but you don't want to actually play anything with it. I mean, maybe that's a sign that you don't actually want the captain, right?
Although it seems like it's always a sign here where they're just a little bit short of where the deck needs to be.
Yeah. I mean, the captain doesn't actually get you a village going into next turn. Okay, Yuri does do the goading the real Maroon. I guess one thing is that if you do get, no, that's not even true, because you don't get the captain play at the start of turn. I was going to say if you get 2 captains out, one of them villages, but you actually need 3 to get that to happen, which just seems like way too much here. Just getting, we're getting attack. Tactician. Surprise.
I was a little bit surprised to see it at that point. But I guess just deciding you won't want to be playing a single buy game for the rest of the game. I can see that being a decision I'd make as well, regardless of how right it is.
And you can also get it in there, just for this one instance, if you don't have, I guess we'll call it, anything better to do, where the idea is eventually you will Maroon it for plus, what is it? Ends up being plus 3 cards to net. It's more of this Tactician buy that's maybe more of a stampede than anything else.
Right.
Whether you intend to keep playing with it, which I think would probably be a bad idea because it's slow, or just have it in deck to Maroon later. Even then, you're shuffling going into this turn, so it's maybe you should be adding a Stables or another Bazaar instead. Just something that is continuing to provide value through the rest of the game.
See that. Mick will have 3 buys this next turn, and a lot of coins, being able to use captains as conspirators.
Yeah. I'm wondering how many coins it actually is, though. Is it getting up towards 14, 15, or is it more 12? I actually don't know.
Because you do really need 14 or 13 at least, probably 14 to be happy with what you're buying.
Yeah. I mean, what? There's the stockpile. I think there's probably still 6 or 7 coppers, so...
So should get there with 2 conspirator plays of captain. Seems it's reasonable.
So maybe one of those captains is going to want to be a... Well, you can do 1 conspirator off this first captain. I'm thinking like there's that curse in there, but maybe there's no need to trash it this very turn. It's not necessary.
Right, and you also could actually hit 12 and be fine because you could just buy your conspirator first.
Yeah, that's true.
Meanwhile, Yuri has potentially 18 here. 19?
Yeah, I think Yuri's probably going to be looking at holding, some of these back. I feel like
all of them.
Yeah, I feel like as Yuri, you probably need at least 1 Bazaar. You can actually you actually only need like 1 action play before a captain to play Conspirator non-terminally. So you could potentially actually look at a stables instead of Bazaar. You don't necessarily need the village.
Right, the stables is not going to be incredibly consistent for Yuri. I mean, the deck is going to be not going to have a ton of treasures all the way through to the end here.
Yeah. So I think you probably want to pick up... Oh man, it's really tough actually with the 2 captains being kind of loose going into next turn. Like, I think that kind of necessitates a Bazaar. I'd kind of like to get those, maybe, as horrifying as it is, balanced out. And depending on mixed deck control, like, if you're going to get into single provinces, you probably don't actually want another Sea Witch, because you kind of want this ability to subtract 1 off of mixed score at a moment's notice. Trying to think, like 7 turns. You can probably fit another Sea Witch in there. We're getting a Tactician on that side too. Can Yuri actually play those Conspirators? I'm pretty sure the answer is no. This next turn.
Yeah. There's not any draw, right? Where that could... well, if you get like 2 captain plays first.
You can't get 2 captain plays first.
But you have the Tactician down.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Never mind. I mean, you only need 1 captain play. Let's be real. But
right.
Take Tactician down. It's like one of those things commentating where, like, if you would not have done something, you keep forgetting that it's a possibility, and in this case, Tactician is being that thing. Looks like we're double tacking. So I think this is probably going to be 2 Conspirators. Would be my guess. Conspirator captain, fine. So yeah, Mick is going to be running what he hopes is perfectly consistent double tack, probably single province.
It seems quite likely to be pretty consistent with the Tacticians and the captains.
Yeah, I don't know how much the captains are doing. I mean, you can take out more copper, but I would be surprised if, well, I'm trying to do the turn math here, whether like you want to get up to 16 or not. Or maybe Mick is already there, like you play 4 captains now. Mick is maybe actually only 1 turn away from 16. So if that's the case, then surely you go up and do that.
Yeah, I think it does make sense for Mick to go up to 16, because I think Mick's at least near that.
Yeah, it requires playing your starting captains as Conspirator, which is not going to be ideal, but like, you get maybe 2 more coppers out this turn, you can still buy what you need to get up to that number, and plausibly you're good from there.
Well, Yuri's certainly
going
for the double. And as Mick here, the nice thing you can do, I think, is that you can single here and get your deck up to where it's hitting 16 next turn. I'm not sure that's true.
I'm not sure that's true, but I don't know exactly what Mick's carrying. 9. Yeah, this is only
11.
11. Wow, I thought it was actually already up at 13, but that was Mick's first Conspirator, so that makes things a little bit tougher.
Yeah, I had lost track that Mick was so far down on the Conspirator count.
Yeah. Yuri's at what? 3 captains, 5 Conspirators, so that's 16 if you want it.
Yeah, taking all those stockpiles turned out to be really the key to having all these Conspirators.
Yeah. I'm also still not sure whether, like, getting into the Tactician, like, Mick could be maybe consistently provincing by now. Which maybe if you had started it last turn would have been okay. If you're starting it this turn, that's no good at all.
Right. Yeah, I think what this James state is sort of signaling is that maybe Mick should have been trying to more aggressively pursue just going into single province after the stockpiles went the way that they did, knowing that the long game would result in Yuri being able to build up the Conspirator deck more quickly.
Yeah. I'm actually a little bit surprised that Yuri wasn't able to do that as fast as it happened. I guess the other thing Mick might be looking at here is like not playing this Tactician with the idea that maybe you like can alternate double and single. It seems a little bit far-fetched, but you can produce 8 on a non-Tactician turn. If you play a Tactician, then you can do 16 the next. Alright, that's clearly not happening. So Mick is at least 2 turns away from doubling, which is a big problem if Yuri is able to double consistently. Even if you go something like...
That's true.
Yeah, even if you go something like Province Conspirator here, you're still kind of in that... I guess you can't go Province... Well, no, you can because of Innovation. Even if you go Conspirator Province here, you're still kind of in this, I don't know, awkward position where you are still, not able to reach 16. You're able to reach 13, which is maybe going to have to be good enough, and like hope Yuri can't sustain a double for how many turns? I don't think that's actually happening. So I'd say I'd say definite advantage for Yuri here. Oh, Yuri only has 2 captains. See, this is why, like, I can't tell what's in people's decks, apparently. I thought Mick had an extra Conspirator, I thought Yuri had an extra captain.
It's hard when you're... Well, it's just hard, period.
Yeah. I mean, Yuri can still add, Captain Province here, and probably be pretty happy about things. Mick singles, you double, Mick goes, oh no, I lose. Man, there is no way that a Conspirator over a Captain is proper, right?
I guess you could be worried about the Conspirator pile going.
Oh, that's a point. That's interesting. I mean, Mick has more captains. So it's like Mick doesn't have an incentive to do that. Maybe Yuri does?
I think the problem with worrying about the Conspirator pile going is that if you're not buying them and they're at 3, it's like, are they really gonna run?
Yeah. Like Mick surely can't afford to be piling Conspirator here. He's so much tied up in the captains.
Yeah. So it doesn't seem on first or further examination like there's any reason to buy Conspirator there.
I mean, it could be like this last-ditch effort to kind of, I don't know, kill the decks. If you think you're like really that behind, maybe that's something that you'd want to do. But make it so Yuri can't double, but then Yuri's still in generally better position having more Conspirators, so it just doesn't make sense on this end to be doing that.
Yeah, I agree. And Mick does have the ability to single and still work up towards double, and be able to double at the end.
Yeah, I think it is notable that Mick can double at the end. It makes things look a little bit maybe less terrible. Like if you Province Duchy here, Yuri doubles. This Baker is looking for getting to double over the course of 2 or 3 turns, while still playing a Tactician, which I think is just completely useless. I'd so much rather be putting more scoring into the deck, which is to say Duchy. Mick's gotta think, like, I can't be buying Province here, in which case this has to be double Duchy, in which case you're toast, right?
Right. Yeah, that Baker
Like,
offer doesn't really do anything at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you'd be kind of done anyways, because, like, if you had Province Duchy last turn, you'd be double Duchying this turn, Yuri would be taking a 9-point lead, and you'd be losing on turn count with a Province Duchy, but it maybe tries to draw things out a bit. I guess the other thing is that that maybe you're going to hope is I don't think Yuri can. There's a possibility that not this turn, but the turn after this one, Yuri can dud, even off a Tactician play. because Yuri does require finding a captain to keep the turn going.
Yeah, this turn Yuri's not going to dud, but next turn it's certainly possible.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think this is just, this is going to have to be 2 duchies. Like, you could think that you're going to take Province Duchy and hope for something, but you just have to make sure that the game keeps going.
I mean, Yuri's guaranteed to draw deck, I think. So,
Yeah.
You just have to take the duchies.
Yeah. It's an awkward position, but, I mean, I think there's really only one option, and you better take it. Don't do something that'll make you lose.
Yeah, at least give yourself the opportunity for Fury to draw the, I don't know, all green 1 Conspirator hand, with the Tactician. You turn after this. It's extremely unlikely, but I think it's just, if you take the province, you just absolutely lose here.
Yeah.
Immediately. Every time.
Yeah, I think the one thing of note is that next turn, as unlikely as it is, Yuri does have some amount of dud possibility. And I mean, I don't think there's any world where you're looking at not doubling right here. So you're just gonna double and, well, there's the captain, so this is over.
Yeah, I had to put the captains on bottom, and really all the way on bottom.
Yeah. Alright, well, Yuri will be up 2-0, needing 1.5 more, and things will be flipped around to where Mick will have to be. It's overcoming first player, the draw, or whatever you want to call it. There's some word for this in tennis that I'm not remembering at the moment. Serve. That's the word.
Break up serve.
Yeah. I mean, that resign I don't think was entirely necessary, but we'll pretend that it was. Just because we did see the captain in hand.
Yeah,
alright. Yeah, we have another. This one has clashes, so that's exciting. I guess somewhat limiting even. Although, with Sailor and Treasure, you can probably get trashed down enough that you can kind of live with whatever.
It seems like it'll mostly limit your, I guess, scrying pool.
Yeah.
Plans.
You should still be able to draw enough that you can get up to double or even triple province. The main issue there is actually, I think, going to be village space, with your village having to be contract rather than draw. I mean, I guess they go hand in hand. Like, you don't actually need the village to be drawing a ton here. sorry. If there were no warlord, you would not need to be, you would not need the village in order to do it, but since there is warlord and you're going to be limited on the number of scrying pools, you're going to have to play with contract if you want to draw substantially. That would be my guess.
Yeah, I would guess so too. Some amount of contract to let you play these extra terminal draw cards here is going to be in order.
Although even there, that's I guess a little bit, I don't know. I was gonna say awkward, but like you can contract or contract or however you want to say it. You can get more than two of a draw card just if like you're going to contract one of them every turn, say.
I've always pronounced the verb as contract and the noun as contract.
Yeah, there's a when Allies was first around, the thing was contract jokes where you would kind of go be like, who would buy contract? You have to trash something and gain something costing 3 less than it, as opposed to expand. Anyways, contract jokes.
It's above what I can understand.
So let's see. Mick was able to open Treasure, which is maybe not the most convincingly better than Sailor, but they're both in, I'm going to say, close to the same position now, just because Yuri's Sailor was seen, I was going to say turn 4, but I was actually seen turn 3, which is a little bit later than Mick saw the Treasurer.
Right, makes the Sailor play probably a little nicer because just estate trashing is better.
And then this sure looks amazing. Like you get to play the Sailor and buy Highwayman. Things are going well over on this side of things.
Yeah, when things go well with Sailor, they sure do go well.
I guess Yuri's trying to figure out whether to rotate this or not. I'm going to say the answer is it doesn't matter. Plausibly the answer is yes, because you can kind of question like how soon Mick is going to be ready to actually buy Warlord. And like next turn you're totally ready to buy Warlord, right?
Right.
Whether it's like better than maybe putting a Foray in, I'm not sure, but yeah, this is seeming, this is not seeming good for Mick. I don't know if the treasure should have been a Sailor instead, or what exactly, but or if it's just like there was no possible thing that could have happened. I mean, Mick would have seen the Sailor turn 2, which would have been pretty nice. I'm gonna say. He would have been able to buy Battle Plan, would have hit 5 the next turn with the Sailor estate trash.
Yeah, I can see that being better. Because the Treasurer opens are really not all that good. It's not much better than opening Moneylender, really.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so this is gonna be Warlord. Mick, I think, well, Mick can't buy Warlord. I'm not sure if Yuri's gonna be able to rotate past, or want to rotate past this turn. You have to imagine that Mick's probably not gonna miss 5 again, but on the other hand, like, I mean, I think you probably want to rotate Warlord. Like you're in a position where you could actually dream about getting all 4.
Easily.
If you were to rotate.
If you wanted to angle for that, you could absolutely do it here.
Yeah.
But you could also just rotate it away and just win by having a better deck.
Yeah, I mean, Mick has a battle plan, so eventually he would be able to get back to them. But yeah, like you rotate Warlord here, you play Highwayman, maybe you buy Contract is something that you can foray next turn. Contract also gives you the Forest Dwellers. I guess you could also think about Emissary. I'm not sure, like, as you get more trash down, the Emissary kind of stops being this thing that works. You get the Highwayman in the discard, but alright, we're leaving Warlord out. So we'll see how much pressure Mick is feeling. Mick is feeling a lot of pressure to take this Warlord is what I'm thinking. Nope, it's a Highwayman. Okay. Well, now as Yuri, surely you rotate past and figure out how you're going to get a foray. Plausibly by not playing this Warlord.
I don't think you really need to play the Warlord. The Highwayman is better. Although you could maybe keep the Sailor back instead.
Surely you want to play the Sailor. Okay, well, apparently not. I mean, there's still like this estate that you'd love to trash, right? Spell Scroll was not what was being looked for there. I'm just going to go out and say.
Yeah, it's that classic situation where you're trying to buy a loot and the game says no thank you.
I guess the other thing you could think about doing is you could like start rotating this Clashes pile again. And like you have the Spell Scroll to take a Warlord now. I don't think you actually want to hold it back, but think about it at least.
Yeah, I would think it's probably more useful to just buy more forays, although get doubloons, then get insignia, then get another Spell Scroll. Be unhappy.
I mean, you're gonna be unhappy with that no matter what.
You need to head for that pile anyways.
Yeah, I also think you're probably ahead enough at this point that like getting 4 Warlords is just like icing. I think like even if Mick were to get those, you'd still be in a position where you almost feel like you can't lose.
So the nice thing about getting 4 Warlords is that it makes your opponent click the resign button.
Yeah, that is a nice thing. It'll be funny. We're gonna keep seeing forays until it works. I don't see why to play Spell Scroll. Like, you don't actually need to be gaining anything with it, right?
Yeah, you can just wait till next turn.
Oh, yeah, there's treasure around. I mean, you can get all the treasures. Yeah, don't play Spell Scroll, like, ever.
Oh, yeah. So do you have the village? So, like, the tough thing about the Spell Scroll Treasurer thing is that it actually needs plus action after you have all the treasures in deck.
I mean, it also needs plus buy, which...
Right.
I don't know. Maybe you have right now. What I'd actually like to see is Yuri, now that you have this plus buy, is to rotate the clashes back and pick up another battle plan. Just because that'll make it so that you get your 2 Warlords the next turn. And then after that happens, I don't actually know what you do after you get all 4 Warlords, but you assume you just win from there without having to worry about anything. You can insta-empty treasure with Spell Scroll, but doesn't actually help you that much.
Yeah, you just have, all the treasurers at that point. Which is, for the turn you do it, it's fine, but then next turn it's, you have to be able to support that deck.
The other thing you can do with Spell Scroll is that you can use it as your thing that Highwayman affects. So yeah, I'd like to see a rotation here. You can discard... I mean, you can discard the Spell Scroll. You don't have to play it as your thing. Foray, Battle Plan. This is all set up to take the next two, the other two Warlords this next turn. And then I assume at that point, no, Mick resigns before we get to see the fourth Warlord. Sailor went better than Treasurer. That's about what happened. I don't know if Mick getting the Sailor turn 1 would have seen it turn 2. I'm not sure how amazing that would have been. Obviously Yuri had absolutely fantastic turn 5. Which may have just been more than really anything Mick could do. But we have another game with Mick needing to win the remaining 3 games. So if you can call it pressure for somebody who's won, 19 previous championships, the pressure is on.
Much as it could be.
This board's a little bit awkward. I guess there's a distinct lack of... No, there's Snowy Village. I was going to say there's a distinct lack of +5, but that's not true at all. The thing that there's a distinct lack of is, reasonable draw.
It's a King's Court Plaza. It is the actual draw.
Yeah, it's King's Court Plaza, or if you want, King's Court Apothecary, but I don't think you're going to be wanting to... Well, there's also King's Court Snowy Village. Let's be complete here. If you're like King, you're fine kinging a Snowy Village. Necromancer, if you can get some stuff in the trash, which maybe you do from Remake.
Yeah, plenty of cantrip options, really. But King's Court is the draw. The question is going to be, how do you deploy Ferry?
I guess the other thing is, even though you have this King's Court draw, there's nothing on the board that's particularly high powered. There's nothing.
There's no payload.
Yeah, there's no payload other than this lucky coin, or potentially if you really want to stretch things, you could maybe think that you're gonna play lucky coin and remake a bunch of silvers into stuff.
You're remaking silvers into plazas. There's not even, you can't even remake 4s into 5s into golds.
Yeah, it kind of actually tempts me to think more about Apothecary, maybe you do something like Apothecary Sentinel to start out instead, and you're just trying to maintain or figure out a way to maintain the coppers in deck, just because trashing them potentially gets you maybe a little bit lack of pace, but with Lucky Coin around, I'm not sure that that's actually really something to consider.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much that helps you pace-wise, because you're having to buy those Apothecaries. You have to add in the Snowy Village plus buy maybe a little sooner.
Yeah. I see Remake Warehouse, which I guess makes actually perfect sense with the shuffle. On Warehouse, it brings you to the very end. Usually Warehouse is a little bit, I'm going to say awkward to open, just because it'll make you shuffle at maybe an inopportune time, but in this case, it all works out. Yuri does the Sentinel, and they immediately collide, because, you know, we needed excitement in our lives, and this will probably provide some, since it surely puts Mick a little bit ahead. Okay,
we see Nick play this lucky coin.
For sure.
Just trying to get the pace up to by King's Courts and go from there, I assume.
Yeah, this turn, we might actually even see Ferry on King's Court from Mick.
It does seem like the deck's ready for it, and is like buying Guide really, or another Snowy really better? Probably not.
Yeah. I guess the other thing that you kind of have to think about at some point is that you have this lucky coin that costs 4, and presumably King's Court that costs 5. Like the temptation will be to remake the lucky coin into King's Court, but I don't think you actually want to do that. Just because you really do want to keep that payload ramp around. Like
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah, like as crappy a payload ramp as it is, treasure is what you're getting out of this deck, right?
Right. And ideally you want to, it's way better to just buy King's Courts, plazas and stuff, rather than be buying gold, which is what you'd otherwise be doing for payload here.
Yeah. Something on the payload end is Yuri did pick up a Fool, which can get you like silver gain, gold gain, Earth's Gift gain. But that's like a kind of even a point against Mick picking up a Fool, is that like if you don't get these things on the turn that you play the Fool, it's so bad, right? Okay, see what I know. I was gonna say it's so bad. Like you can play the Fool once, but like for the Lost in the Woods, like the gold gain doesn't actually work, and when you're this draw limited, the silver gain and whatever are kind of crummy.
Yeah, the Fool doesn't seem like it's doing a lot for you here. I try to avoid Fool generally when I think it's marginal like it is here, but it also doesn't seem like it's really bad because the other stuff isn't that great either.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Fool is okay. It's just that I don't really want my opponent to be able to play Fool, for 3 boons. Like that's
right.
That's what I'd rather
have. Keep that to one play only.
Yeah.
Force them to deal with that.
I guess the other thing you can do is you can remake it into Necromancer and then use it opportunistically. But I mean, I guess that just gives your opponent the leeway to do the same. I mean, at this point, I guess when both of them picked up Fools, it's not that big a deal. Like, I guess the concern there is that you remake the Fool into something, and you get your Necromancer, and then your opponent doesn't have to pick up a Fool. They just get to pick up a Necromancer, which is so much better. Whoa, okay. Mick is going the lucky coin trash route.
Yeah, quite early on. The first opportunity.
That was a surprise to me. I mean, I guess the other thing you can maybe think about is that, like, you try to get a bunch of King's Courts cheap, and then you move Ferry off of it, and then those remake into provinces. So that's, like, I guess the other deck construction, rather than just looking at trying to draw with King's Court Plaza and then treasures, is maybe if you get a bunch of King's Courts, you can remake those.
Yeah, I guess if you have 6 of them, then probably look at maybe a turn or a couple turns where you're getting 4 provinces off the rest, something like that. Maybe a few more than that even.
Yeah.
But it's sketchy because, yeah, you really do need the King's Courts to draw the thing in the first place.
Yeah. That's where, like, if they go evenly, like, maybe you get to do that once. Which isn't, like... I mean, once is more than 0, but... It's not like the entire deck construction at that point.
Right, you still need to be able to compete on the just buying provinces at that point.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of, like, worlds in which this should not just be a King's Court buy, and I'm not really coming up with anything.
I'm doing as well. I imagine that's what Yuri is also doing.
Young Witch, huh? Young Witch is... I mean, what that's saying to me is that Yuri's basically saying you're going to struggle too much to draw and you're not going to be able to consistently trash curses. Which I don't think is true at all. And, like, even if the remake becomes awkward, you have the Sentinel in deck to be able to target trash with Warehouse if everything goes really wrong for a turn. I mean, especially after Mick has trashed the Lucky Coin, like, this is not going to be a deck that is full of... It's not going to be a deck that's full of silver.
Yeah, I'd be really surprised if those curses manage to stick enough to really hurt Mick, especially now that Mick sees that Yuri's bought the Young Witch. It's going to be at least another turn until you get the first play in.
Yeah. Look at this amazing Sun's Gift, making it so that Sentinel's going to trash a little bit more. That was just fantastic. Now it's going to trash 1 card instead of 1 card.
Instead of 1.
I mean, they could have discarded the Plaza. Like, if you know the Wisp is in there with the King's Courts, you're probably fine with it. Then you could have looked at one of these 2 King's Courts that Mick bottom decked instead of, whatever else.
I think it actually was a copper.
That is
the Plaza.
That is the most amazing Earth's Gift. Did you see that?
Oh yeah, ideal. I mean, that's very. I don't even know what it's called. Lost in the Woods.
That's just
very typical.
So describes Lost in the Woods perfectly. I mean, you could have discarded the Fool, like, right? And then you would have gotten a Necromancer, I'm guessing. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's in the trash. It's still just the zombies. We might see a Plaza or 2 go into the trash remaking to King's Court. Like, that might be something that Mick targets here. You could see a King's Court on Snowy Village instead of this Plaza. With the idea that you're going to remake, like, Plaza Fool.
I can see that. Mick still wants to be adding more King's Courts, and that would leave Mick still in a reasonable position, King's Court target-wise.
Yeah.
Be a little bit worried about having enough targets trashing that plaza. And I guess maybe Mick is as well, having played it.
Yeah. I mean, the Fool would be going into a Necromancer at that point, so maybe wouldn't be the worst off. This Wisp is just like so nice though to have.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. This deck.
So Mick's gonna probably clear a little bit of copper here. You might actually trash a Fool Warehouse right here. That can be into Necromancer Plaza. You probably only need one Warehouse play ever, so like if you're kinging the Necromancer, that gives you your one Warehouse play.
Yeah.
So like I expect this to be playing the Sentinel. It leaves one copper on top, but you know what are you gonna do?
So you do all the math of figuring out one copper on top, first trash 2 coppers, first later on in the game stuff. But yeah, just deciding that it's worth it is seems right to me.
I mean, you're getting into where like there's going to be 4 stop cards in the deck, so leaving one copper on top is surely just fine.
Yeah,
I would so go Fool into Necromancer. Like I don't think that keeping this Fool around is worth it at all.
Yeah, no way at this point.
And I mean, you're up to a 4th King's Court, so you might even be looking at winning those 7-3 next turn. We'll see. I don't know if Yuri's capable of even taking 3 this turn. Like, you have to draw the Remake. Now even. Oh, there we go. But this is still only 2, right?
Right.
So
I don't really see a way to get up to... I mean, maybe play the Young Witch, draw silvers, get up to 3.
Necromancer Fool probably is your best bet. See if you can draw a little bit with Necromancer as Fool, or Necromancer playing Fool. Then Remake Young Witch plus Lucky Coin.
You should be pretty well aware of what... there's 4 boons in there. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously everyone who plays Dominion perfectly tracks the boon draw pile and knows what's down there.
Yeah. I'm not seeing a... Well, it would have been draw. Maybe not a ton, but
it would have been draw, but not enough payload down there to...
Yeah.
You need to draw plus gains or money.
Yeah, like this can't even get 2 King's Courts at this point. I don't think Mick can get 4, but I mean, you would if you could.
3 seems like right enough. It doesn't have the Lucky Coin. I'll put you a little bit behind ramp-wise, but I think you'd be able to make up for that with other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, at the point where you have 7 King's Courts, the move Ferry off of it and just remake those is more than viable.
Right. I guess you buy 1 or 2, maybe 3 provinces with that, but that's all you need to buy.
Yeah, so my guess is Mick right here is maybe trying to figure out, was at the start of turn trying to figure out if 4 is going to be a possibility, which, I mean, clearly it isn't. It's hard to say if 3 is even going to be something reasonable to do with this draw. Like
having to play this Plaza is not helpful.
Like, I think ideally you'd be, like, apprenticing the Sentinel, possibly. May have been overestimating mixed deck a little bit. This is also where you're kind of starting to feel a little bit of the pain of having gotten rid of the lucky coin, is you just don't have stuff in deck, right?
Yeah, you don't have stuff in deck, and there's nothing out in the kingdom that's there's no gainer out there, right? So,
fool.
You're just limited. Right. I'm not certain that Mick's going to win this, really. That's nice.
I'm pretty certain, but it's going to be painful. You got to take this gold.
I guess the remake King's Court stuff is still going to be good enough, even if you end up with 6 of them.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't think Yuri's, like, able to draw anywhere close to enough.
Yeah, I guess Yuri's deck is still pretty rough shape.
Also, Mick conveniently got the second wisp, which is amazing. Just gonna point out.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal.
Not that, like, the if it costs 2 or less, put it into your hand part is doing you anything, but see what I know. Just drew 2 cards, but basically just, like, getting this extra cantrippy thing into the deck that maybe can draw a little bit more is quite fantastic.
You only have the 2 plazas in the Necromancer otherwise.
Yeah.
As your non-snowy village targets, so having 5 targets instead of 3 for free is so nice.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I guess, what we talked about earlier is the, it's just, like, where are you getting your gains from? Is it lucky coin? Is it gaining you silvers? Or is it this fool? And, like, any gain you can get out of the fool, you just immediately go, this is winning me this game.
Right. And that gold gain was so nice for Mick.
Yeah.
Even though it reduced the King's Court gains, it's still payload ramp is so much better. Yeah. There's not really any way back for Yuri.
Well, Yuri might be in okay-ish position to... I mean, I wonder if as Yuri here you just grab those 3 King's Courts. Like, what else can you do? Like, are you able to win if you don't have those? It's sure painful to get them. You have to be eliminating Plaza, maybe you have to be eliminating Lucky Coin, maybe you have to be eliminating Necromancer, but it just seems so hard to win with less draw. Even if in the short term it's painful.
Yeah, it seems like you could have taken them all, because if you don't have those 3, then Mick can do whatever Mick wants. But if you do take those 3, I think Yuri has the problem where drawing becomes a real issue. You end up with these King's Courts that don't even have targets.
I mean, if you get a little bit lucky, like you would take the King's Courts, you get a little bit lucky on the next turn, you see Remake with the Sentinel and the Fool. You can turn those into King's Courts targets. Then you have a deck that is maybe comparable to the one over on the first player's side. Maybe you even still have your lucky coin in it at that point, so possibly that'll help out too.
Yeah, so you'd end up maybe remaking your Necro and your Plaza and keep your lucky coin and just hope you draw perfectly and can keep that ramp. Issue being that, Mick has the gold and Mick has all the draw and Mick, actually has a functional deck already, but yes. You're as Yuri, you have to play for the thing that lets you win some of the time, which probably be that.
The hope is that you end up like one turn behind rather than, unfathomably behind.
Yeah.
You end up one turn behind rather than automatically losing is the hope.
Right. The hope for that best case scenario.
You get to another King's Court there, which is, it'll bring it to, I guess, 4 for Yuri.
It prevents it from being easily resignable, perhaps.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, what you'd be hoping is that having the 4 King's Courts means that the lucky coin can bring you back a little bit. I guess the other thing of note is that, like, as you do start to remake King's Courts, they become things that Necromancer can actually play for you. Not quite as powerfully, because, like, you can't Necromancer King and Necromancer King and have it be amazing. That's only going to create 1 card instead of, 3 or 4. I don't even know what King's Court does, but
it does allow you just to keep some energy in the deck after you start going down the King's Court trashing path.
Yeah, so this turn I think the target for Mick would be buy King's Court and move Ferry to... Heck, I don't know. You'd actually kind of like to put it on silver, although that seems kind of rather difficult with the way that the rules work.
Maybe at home at the table you could put it on silver. Depends on who you're playing with.
I guess probably you end up putting it on Plaza so that the Wisps can draw those, because that's like the next most frequent deck thing. Or plausibly, you could also do it onto Necromancer, depending on exactly what your turns are looking like. Like this could be remaking the Plaza into King's Court, silver into Necromancer. Maybe you're a little bit scared to lose the silver, but you can somehow buy maybe, I don't know, gold plus the Ferry move. With that.
Yeah, Mick needs to be sure to outpace Yuri, but it's not like you can't see Yuri's payload coming. Lucky coin doesn't build that fast.
Yeah. Like if you can do maybe 2 turns of remaking a pair of King's Courts and buying 1 province on each of those, like you're so okay with everything. Yuri trashed the lucky coin last turn.
Yep.
So that means it's really going to be Fool dependent, right?
I guess there will be a gold gain on tap next turn. Is that true?
I don't know if the boon draw pile number actually works. Plus, there's been some kind of funkiness with the shuffle, just because there have been some Lost in the Woods hits, so I'm not like 100% sure if there's necessarily a Skies in there, if that missed the shuffle. We're gonna remake the Young Witch instead of something else, maybe? It is funny trying to watch Mick get through this turn, just because, like, you feel like you really want to, like, do all this, or make all this stuff go, when really your goal is actually just, like, one thing. And so you're trying to figure out, like, what tiny little bits of value you can add to the turn, before you do that.
Yeah, that was...
I think that was a pretty good value add. So this is going to be King's Court and move the Ferry and maybe buy Plaza. That's my guess anyways.
That certainly seemed pretty productive.
Giving 4 curses and... I wonder, like, if you do something like King's Court, Ferry on Plaza, and I wonder how close you can get to being able to win next turn if the Young Witches give out curses. Like, you might not even have to be looking at remaking Plaza stuff. You could be looking at piling Curse plus Plaza.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be pretty doable. Snowy Village here.
Yeah.
King's Court. Guess you want to be a little tiny bit concerned about Yuri doing that back to you, but I don't think Yuri actually has the ability to gain and play.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to remake something into a Young Witch, or I guess Zombie Mace it into a Young Witch.
I guess maybe Mick is a little bit worried about it.
Right, Mick is very worried about it. I mean, I think I would be substantially less worried about it, but Yuri has to figure out how to gain a Young Witch. I guess there's still a silver in there, so plausibly you could target trash a silver with Zombie Mason after playing a Sentinel, trashing 2 curses. And then somehow you still have to King's Court the Young Witch, King's Court the Snowy Village, and produce how many coins? I don't think it's
Yeah, like 16, right?
Yeah, and I don't think there would be enough buys either, because presumably if, like, you need to produce that many coins, you also need to be ferrying Plaza in order to even have a chance.
Yeah, so I said 16 because I think you'd have to King's Court the Snowy and then just buy 4 Plazas.
And then the question, I guess the question then is, like, how are you actually emptying curses? Because then you still only have 4 curses with the one Necromancer and then the 3 with the Young Witch that you gain.
Yeah, I don't think there's any path there.
Yeah, it'd have to be like remaking into the Young Witch, drawing it, and you'd also have to be Necromancering. You'd have to use the Mason gain to gain a curse. I'm not feeling like it's in the realm, but on the other hand, maybe as Mick, like, you feel like you're however much ahead and can just are trying not to lose. Like, you move Ferry to Plaza here, maybe next turn you have the ability to gain that last King's Court, remaking the gold. Then how do you have the coins for this? You don't. Or maybe you can get a bunch of coffers. Alright. I think this is still, well, this hand's a little bit iffy, but I'm gonna say I think this is still decently set up to win this turn for Mick. Just maybe not as set up as it could have been.
Yeah, and you could Wisp to draw province and stuff here. It's, well, it's extremely unlikely. Still use a Necromancer. There's all sorts of ways that Mick can still have a turn.
Yeah, I mean, you have the guide on the map, but like, you call guide right here. Like, I think you only have the 2 wisps, so like, you're the very best draw card in your deck. You're ditching 2 of them if you call guide.
Yeah, I'd be worried about calling guide, even though you don't have any King's Courts in this hand, because this is all your King's Courts targets, and
yeah,
still is quite a bit of draw. But you really would not want to apprentice your remake.
We're gonna watch as Yuri is just like completely able to trash out all the curses right now. The wisps drop plazas. Yeah. It's a little bit tough to say, like, as Mick, how you want to play the start of this next turn if you aren't doing the guide. Just because you kind of would really like to find King's Court. But I don't know how you do that.
Yeah, I don't know what your best odds are.
Yeah.
Probably want to hold back the Necro.
Yeah, I feel like Yuri's actually in... Well, Yuri, I think, pretty clearly can't take that King's Court. Which is a problem. I'm gonna note here that Yuri would have gotten a triple Young Witch off, but probably not the rest of what needed to happen. Just because of Earth's Gift. You would have been able to trash out all the curses, so things would have been even. You get 4 Young Witch plays. And then you don't have anywhere close to enough coins to pile Plaza. So, I think the more aggressive line would have been safe for Mick, but this is still in... I mean, it's not like not taking the more aggressive line is gonna make Mick lose this game. This is still everything you could ever want.
Yeah, still has the better deck in the lead, and piles being in a really bad spot for your opponent.
Yeah. Okay, this is going to end up being a Mason here. I think Yuri's going to take the last King's Court, even if that, leads to death. Like, what else do you do to have the possibility of winning? Hard to say.
Yeah, hard to say.
So probably you Mason this remake, you move the Ferry. Alright, you move the Ferry. You don't take the last King's Court because you're assume that you lose if you do. And then let's see. So Mick has 4 Young Witch plays that can empty Curse. The hard thing is going to be getting the King's Court and the Plaza. You'll have to get 6 coffers, or I guess 5 coffers to get the Plaza and remake the gold to King's Court, which seems maybe doable. It's going to be tough without the Wisps really doing a ton for you, but it's something that I think could happen, and it's not like you have to really commit to it until the very end of the turn. So, even if you aren't able to do that, you're still able to triple province or so, and be and be pretty happy about that.
Yeah. Yeah, it does seem a little bit tough maybe at this point. It seems like it would be pretty trivial to do the pile out thing if you had started the turn with like King King Wisp, but still plenty of routes here. Might see this Necromancer played as Young Witch now. Not sure.
I think we're going to see King King Plaza before anything else. That seems necessary.
Yeah, I guess I was just thinking if you wanted to hold back the King King Plaza to try and get more coffers out of it later.
Yeah, I think discarding that gold is going to be trying to target it with a Necromancer, although that seems pretty tough at this point. I think I might be more trying to remake. Playing that King's Court then was a little bit interesting in that it kind of messes with your ability to track them. And I mean, I think like even with the remake, King's Court being a thing that you're maybe trying to target, I'm not sure that I want to be like playing King's Courts ever earlier than they need to be.
Right. Yeah, it does get tricky to track these King's Courts in this magnitude when you're not King King card King consistently. Plus, right, it's just nice to know that you have as many in hand as you need at all times.
Yeah. All right. So we're definitely going after a curse emptying here, which I think that's just kind of the start of things. Like even if you're not going to end up winning this turn, emptying curses into your opponent's deck is somewhat productive. We're gonna get a nice Mason setup. The other thing you can do is you can actually do you could probably actually leave the province on top and Mason that, and then I think you just win. Right? You leave the province on top, you can Mason that into King's Court. And then the win becomes pretty much trivial.
Yep, you end up with the 4 buys, and
yeah.
I mean, you already have the coins.
Yeah, so you'd Mason the province into King's Court, you'd play the Snowy Village, I guess the last Necromancer play is Young Witch, and then you just win right there.
Yeah, the win is, it's not in hand, but it's in hand plus revealed discard.
Yeah. Okay. See, province comes in handy. Who would have guessed?
It's a pretty good trash for benefit target.
I don't know what order Mick actually top deck things in. I think it's King's Court Remake on top, but
yeah, either King's Court or Province being on top,
but
works for the win.
Yeah, but I would like to go back and like make sure. It was a province on top, so this seems less winning than it could be. Like substantially less winning than it could have been.
Pretty certain. Did Mick need to draw to get the King's Court play of Snowy Village in now?
No. There's still one left somewhere back there, I'm pretty sure. I think this is still going to end up working out. It's just going to be a little bit more complex. Like, is there going to be enough coffers? No, I don't think there's going to be enough coffers, even. Like, you'd have to remake the gold. And then you're only looking at 5. Yeah. This is no longer looking like a win here.
Yeah.
I mean, this can still double province, which is probably enough to keep you afloat and not losing, but I mean, it could be better.
You probably still win the long game, but always nice to win the turn where you have it presented to you. Assuming that we weren't missing something.
Yeah,
as always.
I don't think Mason was already used. No, it wasn't, because he Masoned the curse, no? Yeah, Mason wasn't used. I'm trying to look. Yeah, Mason, no Necromancer indicator. I'll be interested to see what this buy is. Plausibly, you don't think you need another province. But on the other hand, like, what else is going to do you any amount of good? Maybe you're thinking, like, for next turn you want to keep your coffers around if you really think you're going to need them to pile Plaza.
Yeah, if Mick wants to try to win on piles, then buying province is maybe not so good. But I almost think as Mick, you kind of just, at this point, you just want to win by getting to half VP more likely, which is going to be remaking King's Courts.
Like the win on provinces or the win on piles, like, it doesn't matter what you do. You were able to do it this turn, you'll be able to do the same thing next turn, no matter really what you buy. So, gold seems like a possibility if you think you need to remake the gold into King's Court. Necromancer seems like a possibility. I think the KC is overly scary for Mick. Like, if Mick thinks that KC is okay now, Mick would have thought that KC was okay last turn.
But now Mick has more of a lead.
That's true, but I mean, Yuri can still, do remake 2 things into King's Court, or 2 King's Courts into Province, and plausibly buy the plazas, clear out all the curses with a King's Sentinel. And I mean, at that point, you're looking at maybe getting a tie, which is good enough on that side. Again, I don't know that Yuri can do all that and remake 2 King's Courts, but I think it just...
Yuri's deck is...
Yeah, I think it's
still pretty limited.
I think it'd be inconsistent with what Mick did on turn 11 to take the King's Court. Although Mick does have a little bit more information. Like, now Mick has seen what Yuri's deck maybe actually does. The score is 3-0 for Yuri. So Mick is needing to win the last 3 and plausibly the last 2. We'll see. I'm not ready to fully declare a winner here, but The writing has been on the wall for some amount of time.
These Kingscourt's decks can dodge spectacularly.
Yeah, I don't know if Mick is, like, having the 2 Kingscourts and Plaza in the starting hand is probably enough that you don't call guide, but it's not the most clear thing ever. Looking at Mick's side. Right.
You have to draw one of your draw targets and those 3 cards. Yeah. That's your decision you're making.
I'm wondering if Yuri here doesn't just king this Sentinel and take 2 provinces. Like, clear out the curses. I'm trying to think, like, what could your other remake target be? You could also remake the Fool. No, there's a warehouse to go. See, that's totally me paying attention to what's happening. I was going, wow, this is a nice big hand.
And I had certainly not tracked that we were mid-warehouse play at the moment either.
I mean, I think you have to take this gold. It's a little bit awkward because it makes it so that the Sentinel might have a little bit of trouble trashing the curses, but... Alright. It's like so hard not to take every single gain you can.
I guess if you take it there, I guess you're kind of ending your... You could have...
Yeah, you don't... I mean, you don't have to remake both the King's Courts, so you get to keep your turn going, but... I think the bigger problem there is that you can no longer target trash the curses. Right. You know, like this, although this is probably going to miss one of them. As I say. Oh, 3/3. Never mind. King's Court plays things 3 times. That's my next big insight for the day, not 2.
Also a helpful thing to remember when you're playing at the table at home.
Yeah. You may think, like, wow, playing an action card 3 times, that sounds way overpowered, but no, that's what King's Court does. It's not just 2.
If you did think that, I'd be thinking the right thing.
Yeah. That would be a good thought. Alright, so if Mick draws, Mick will be able to win on piles, and Mick will also be able to win on provinces. We will see if such things happen.
There's sort of a draw card.
There's really a draw card. I mean, what's in the trash right now? Necromancer can play King's Court. Necromancer can play Warehouse. Probably good enough.
Yeah, Necromancer would have gotten the job done by itself. This will certainly do.
Yeah. Yeah, now Mick has to decide whether to discard this gold. I think the piles pile out is probably still the easier of the 2. Just because you don't have to hold any King's Courts back. Yeah, look at that wisp. Two labs and a miss. That's so good. So good. Now Necromancer gets to do its own King's Court thing. There we go. There's just no missing anymore.
So yeah, should be pretty trivial to go from here, get those 4 buys, empty King's Court, empty Plaza, make an estate. Guess you do need to get to 8. 8 coins now.
I don't know how many.
Well, you could Necromancer something as well.
Yeah.
Well, now it's especially easy.
We have another. I'm trying to figure out like how many King's Court plays there are. The provinces is a little bit difficult from here. Well, I think the provinces is actually impossible from here now. You would need a free Necromancer to Zombie Mason, which is totally not happening.
Yeah, the other thing is totally in hand.
Yeah. Yeah, you have your buys, you have your whatever.
Yeah, this isn't even close to the way I was thinking of doing it, but also does it easily.
Yeah. You could have even gotten an extra 2 estates. Oh, or a duchy. That's also allowed. All right. Yuri start with a chance to win still.
Yeah.
Whoa. This boy's got some stuff.
No kidding. Including acting troupe as the only village. My goodness.
Yeah.
But with rogue,
I would just get both staffs.
Yeah, that's a good game plan.
That's definitely what I would be doing here. Mick has this 5-2, which is, I don't know, it seems good enough. Like, I think you're happier opening Butcher Chapel than, I don't know what the 4-3 is going to be.
Silver would be my thought, so 5-2 does look pretty good.
Yeah. I'm actually gonna be right back as well, I think. I don't know that it looks that normal, but breppert will fill you in on all the ways in which it's not normal instead of me. We'll be right back.
I don't really know how I'm going to do that. I guess it's really just like the acting troupe rogue thing is the sort of strange village thing. But you also have cavalry drawing a ton. You've got chapel going down. You've got sack of loot for. It's just sort of like it's all very good, and but it's all a little bit. It's not Wharf Fishing Village by any means. And then, loot butcher payload certainly is the way to end the game very quickly. You'll obviously use your loot a little bit, play them, but ultimately you should be explosively drawing here out of a thin deck very fast. So, I would think this will be not a game that has a ton of turns in it. Although it is a little bit awkward is the thing. It's like explosive, but it's awkward. Because you do have to get the acting troops down. You don't really want to play with that many rogues to regain acting troops. You probably just want to buy them. So like rogue is probably not really much of a factor. The pace of the game, as we'll see, it would be my thought, but obviously players are taking some time to think about this, but I can't imagine that you skip chapel, I guess, and then you're just doing what appears best out of all those options at each turn.
May not see too much cavalry, since you don't really need the draw that much. Better just to be thin and not have cavalries in deck. But also, like, cavalry butcher's totally fine. Butcher's awesome, is the main thing here.
Amazing, we're still on turn 1.
Yeah, I run out of things to talk about.
I managed
A
to miss.
while, yeah.
I managed to miss nothing. It's fantastic. So we got Rogue, Chapel, and Butcher Chapel. I'm a little bit surprised by the Rogue, but
I'm a little bit surprised by it too, especially turn 1.
yeah.
I was kind of thinking about it as it might be nice if you know your opponent opens Butcher, or maybe I'll open Rogue and get lucky and just get back in this game, but
Yeah. I also feel like there's a lot of scenarios where on these 2 or 3 turns, you mint as Mick. You might want to be buying cavalry. Just kind of thinking like, I guess with the chapel in there, you're going to be a little bit hesitant to do so in case you see it, but it just seems like you're going to end up with a lot more terminals than maybe you would like to have early going this way.
yeah. You're going to need to play with acting troops, but you really want to be doing the other stuff, because the other stuff is really powerful.
Buys a curse. That was not expected.
Yeah, I would not be concerned about 6 VP here
Yeah.
that much.
Especially
You're able to thin it down.
Especially as Yuri, like, where you haven't gotten that mint in yet, or something that, like, really makes you really thin, quite yet.
Just the payload density here is so dense at the end.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you could even think about, like, going up to 4 or 5 sacks of loot if cavalries are still around, just because you're gonna be probably coin positive on buying those.
Yeah, if you have that long. I mean, I think the game will just end quickly because you have these butchers and sacks. It's going to make it.
Yeah. I'm not sure that we get, like, that close or that quick an end just because of how awkward the village is. Like you can play these things, but then it's really hard to actually, like, play a lot of them, believe it or not, without a village.
It seems a little tough, but my thought is that you can probably take like 6 provinces over 3 turns, pretty easily here.
Yeah.
Once you get started, and you can get started before too long.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if Mick keeps the mint around. My guess would be yes, because you're going to target trashing maybe mint into sack of loot. I'm not sure that you're really the most enthralled about that. Like, maybe you'd rather be minting the sack of loot itself, though. You kind of gotta take it when you can get it.
Yeah. Just being thin in the head here is
look at
really tough.
Look at that! Look at that amazing rogue. Did you see that amazing rogue?
It's just as good as silver. Say silver would not have been better in this hand.
Yeah. Right.
Actually, it would have. Well, I guess maybe not. Maybe you want the.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is going to be really tough, I would think, for Yuri to pull back in here. Although it's just going to be like a turn behind, but that's a big deal where nothing can go wrong here, really.
Yeah, I wonder if it's even maybe 2 turns at this point. I'm just considering, like, how much more village greedy Yuri presumably is. Like, you could go rogue to sack right here. Would be my guess. Like, I think you get more value out of minting the sack than you do out of roguing mints back.
Yeah, I would think so. But then that's all you're doing next turn is minting a sack, and then it's just not.
Yeah,
I think 2 turns is probably more like it.
Yeah, you'd be minting a sack, or you'd be butchering chapel into acting troupe. Those would be the 2 things that maybe could happen. Maybe that's not actually the worst.
That does seem actually better to me, potentially, than getting another sack, especially because you have this curse in deck. You're not...
Yeah. You're carrying... It feels like you're kind of doomed to be carrying this curse around for a long time, just because, like, in order to keep your pace up, you need to be butchering the chapel next turn. Or this turn, I guess. But like, now what are you going to do? You can't draw whatever it is you butcher into. So you're playing rogue and you're taking a mint back? I mean, that seems not amazing at all.
It doesn't seem to pull you much closer than 2 turns behind to me, certainly.
Yeah, like surely playing a sack of loot is better than getting a mint back. Loot is better than mint. I think. I mean, I don't know. Is that controversial to anybody in chat? Okay, nobody's saying anything, so no controversy there.
It's completely correct forever.
Yep.
Yes, Mick is almost spoiled for options here.
I mean, I think I would just be taking an acting troupe. Like, you're looking at next turn, probably you play acting troupe, you're hoping to butcher something, buy cavalry, play whatever loot you gained.
Yeah. I think, just getting the acting troupe, maybe even taking a second butcher next turn, and then planning on, let's just end the game in 11 turns and win.
Yeah, I don't know what you're buying this turn, I guess. Like, you don't have plus action, so you don't particularly want cavalry. Maybe you take it anyways to draw the loot that you gained up, but you could actually plausibly buy a second acting troupe, just because, like, you're drawing next turn no matter what. You have to do with cavalry buys, but who cares? Or you might take something that's like interim, like a Harbinger, or Smithy. Just to be, like, inoffensive in the deck. I think this really should be an acting troupe. And the next turn you're trying to buy cavalry plus gain a sack somehow.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where there are so many paths that seem to lead to the win that, yeah, that all seems fine to me. Like, because with cavalry here, you're definitely drawing. I probably would have preferred to be a little more aggressive than Harbinger in that buy and try to get up to the point where you're playing multiple butchers and multiple sacks sooner rather than later, because you can just draw with cavalry.
Yeah,
you can butcher those cavalries.
Yeah, I think the thinking on Harbinger is that, like, if you were to take 2 acting troops, you might have to spend all of your coin next turn on cavalry rather than being able to add another sack. I guess you could butcher the cavalry. It's probably not actually true. Or one of the cavalries that you gain. But I guess the concern is that you spend a little bit too much on drawing things that you plausibly didn't need.
Yeah, I can see that concern. I would just be not too concerned about it because you have to play a butcher at the end of it.
Yeah, I think Mick is actually going to go for the get a staff strategy here. Oh, you can rogue back acting troupe. There's the missing piece for rogue, but you know, getting your first sack now seems a little sketchy.
Yeah, you're just too far behind, I think, as Yuri. Given all the options to stay consistent.
This was actually a really, really good case for Yuri. Like, this totally did not need to happen that way where the acting troupe did bottom decked. Just gonna point out. Mick should not be playing this butcher right now. Mick should have been waiting. Okay, Mick's just going provinces, which is a little bit
seems like an underplay to me.
Yeah. I'm still not entirely sure how like Yuri catches up, but provinces does seem like it's underplaying the board by quite some margin.
Yeah, it still seems a little tough for Yuri to catch up, but now it's, sort of seems like maybe there's kind of a way. Maybe Mick was concerned with the defiled shrine points and wanted to get started on greening, but I would think you have another turn and you can
it's like
just take a ton of green really quickly.
Nothing's piling, so I mean, maybe Mick is just like, however skeptical of the acting troupe village, although we've demonstrated through Yuri having rogued the single acting troupe back twice that's never going to actually expire.
The acting troupe is plenty fine here as a village, and you probably don't, even if rogue wasn't here, it probably is still plenty fine.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, it's even at this point, like, not actually clear to me that roguing the acting troupe back is that productive a use of an action rather than just, like, somehow picking up another one off a loot. Yeah, this should be butcher cavalry to cavalry. No doubt. I'm also just realizing that I never said who I was, and this is going to be going on to the Dominion Streams channel rather than my own. I'm Tracer. If you've gotten like 3 hours into this and are still listening and wondering, I've also put it in the video description. But, anyways,
if you're that person, please tell us.
If you had no idea to this point and have put it in. Just discovered, please comment on this video that you just discovered. Actually, I'll never see that. Put it on my next video saying, like, you idiot, when you're commentating, you should really say who you are, if it's not going on your own channel. That's actually my preference, is that you comment on my channel. You're an idiot who can't commentate properly.
There we go. Tracer's just trying to drive traffic to his channel as usual.
Yeah.
This is kind of awkward now as Mick. Like, what are you...
I mean, you're provincing, right? Like, do you want to keep the coffers around? Do you want to buy cavalry? I don't think so. Yeah. This is the option, and it does not seem like a good one.
Yeah, I'm actually starting to get fairly concerned about Mick's ability to win this game.
I'm past concerned. I think Mick is lost.
Yeah. I mean, I guess my concern came too late, but it is completely valid.
Yeah.
Look at all the stuff you can do. And Yuri is equal on points. I mean, this is, yeah, I mean, I guess you're right. It's actually just a totally lost position.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I guess can happen is that Yuri somehow gets a little bit over-terminaled. Maybe?
Sure, but you have villagers.
Yuri commits too much to roguing back the acting troop each turn and doesn't, butcher the rogue into a sack of loot right here and just buy the acting troops.
But even if you do that, it's okay, you've got a deck with 4 stop cards and 5 horses and some butchers and a bunch of villagers.
Yeah, Mick will have an ability to double province starting next turn, but at this point, I don't think it really moves the needle that much, because that's all you can do. There's not really this option like Yuri has of duchies, whatever.
Right. Plus Yuri can set himself up to triple.
Yeah. So I guess Yuri here probably wants another butcher. I guess there's horses in there, so you don't necessarily need to buy cavalry here, although maybe you're a little light on draw. I don't feel like you should be feeling pressure to green. Okay, well, see what I know. Yuri took an acting troop back that turn, right? So this is 2 acting troops.
Mm-hmm. Does seem like you could have mid-turn gained the second acting troop back.
Yeah. I think Mick probably butchers the chalice here. Did draw the butcher, which is... I don't know. I kind of actually would have rather seen it next turn. I don't know what you're gaining on top of that.
Achi, another butcher.
Yeah. The other thing you could think about is buying cavalry here in hopes to play sacks, but more loots doesn't necessarily improve the deck all that much.
Yeah, and Mick's playing with these 5-card hands, so...
Yeah. Yeah, this is a case where, as Mick, I mean, surely you're going to play this out in hopes that something terrible happens over on Yuri's side, but it's not really clear how this ends up working for you.
Yeah, you need to have perfect draws on butchers and provinces. And it needs to end really fast, and Yuri needs to dud. But cavalry's here, so asking for duds is kind of a big ask.
What is a dud? Is it where you have to buy 2 cavalries instead of just 1?
Right, boohoo with your 2 sacks of loot in the deck.
Oh, this isn't a dud. This is perfectly fine. You just buy cavalry and move. Probably want to add another butcher right here. Might this even be a win? It might be close. You buy...
It does seem close.
You buy butcher, cavalry, I don't know how much draw is left in the deck. There's 30 horses in the pile, so that's seeming difficult. You're going to have to buy another cavalry to keep the turn going, even if you do put 2 horses on top.
Yeah, it seems more like a setup to win next turn situation to me.
I think this triples at best. I mean, there's plenty of draw. It's just looking a little far-fetched for getting there this turn. You want to butch... Yeah. If you're going to try to get there this turn, you want to butcher province into province right here, but that seems like a potentially bad move.
Yeah, I think they'd have a real issue getting to the 16.
Yeah.
But next turn it'll be a total... I mean, Mick's going to help by buying a province anyways.
Yeah, I mean, clearly you're fine just taking 1 province here. Preferably a real province. As opposed to a milled one, though. A milled one probably is just as good. The one thing that Yuri might have a little bit of trouble with next turn is draw in, actually.
Might have to buy cavalries again, but that won't be an issue because you don't need as many points to win.
Yeah, but we're also getting to this point where like there's enough actions in deck that it's not like so guaranteed that you hit 4. I mean, you'll top deck 2 horses right here, but I guess there's 2.
You can also offers.
There's 2 loots in there also, though, so this seems fine.
It is kind of a lot of cavalries to be carrying, but
yeah,
it shouldn't be a huge issue.
I'm just like imagining what is a scenario, especially now you've drawn these 2 loots, like you top deck most of your cavalry and no loot, so maybe you're going to be wanting to make sure that you carry some somewhat larger amount of coffers into next turn. Like I could even think that maybe that should be to copper. Okay. I've gotten it correct. And maybe even leave this copper on top just to make sure that you are able to buy cavalry if worst comes to worst. Although if you do want to buy a province, you're going to burn those coffers, so yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be really difficult to have worst come to worst. You would need all cavalries in a province on top, and then even then you'd have you have the 2 horses, so you'd have a 7-card hand. Like even if you bought a province here and discarded that copper, I think you'd still have enough to buy cavalry.
Yeah, I'm actually liking the suggestion of Orb playing cavalry, like you top deck 2 more horses and then maybe you take another acting troupe. Yeah, draw with the next turn, you win. So the problem is still going to be probably drawing through those cavalries, but oh well. And I mean, you see that Mick saw his butcher last turn, so you know it's probably not coming this turn. And by probably, I mean like it's totally not coming this turn. The most Mick's going to do is 1 province. Maybe Mick does do 1 province.
But 1 province just makes winning easier for you, so
yeah,
I'm not really concerned about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think it was like the Defiled Shrine. Like, it's easy to look at the at the points and go, oh my, the Defiled Shrine is making such a difference, but it's just that Yuri, like, bothered to build a deck.
Yeah, it's like, the engine here is worth playing, right? It just is. And Mick just played money. And I think Mick was in a winning position to play engine and just chose not to.
Yeah. I don't know there might have been, like, some consideration, like, I don't think that this particular deck is going to be that fast to get off the ground, but...
Like, acting troops and Smithy, like, even if you weren't doing the cavalry stuff, which is right to do and is faster, like, I would think, even if cavalry wasn't here, I'd be like, I'd be really worried about getting outpaced.
I don't think so. I mean, I'm actually of the opinion that, like, if you were trying to run acting troop Smithy here, you would probably be falling pretty far behind. Cavalry gives you a lot of ability to just stuff more loot into the deck without necessarily worrying about a dud.
That's true. The cavalry is a huge deal.
Yeah.
And the truth is, cavalry is here, right? So
it does take a province. Okay. I don't think that matters that much, but. There's your staff at long last.
It's in time to go to the discard pile.
I mean, that just has to be province, and then you're gonna hope that somehow this doesn't work out. I mean, this is here, right here. Done. Don't even need to be buying cavalry.
So. Only exactly here, though, I think. Indeed here.
Yeah. Alright, so Yuri wins the second straight Dominion League Championship. We'll play the sixth game, even so. And maybe this one will go a little bit faster, but congratulations to yurikamome. Second straight win, I think second overall, and I mean, based on at least the last game, I'll say well deserved. And I guess probably the first three games too. Every win is worth something. All right.
Yeah, I would certainly say well deserved to Yuri on the account of the whole season, but nothing today has stood out to say, oh, how dare Yuri win despite these plays.
What I'll say is that Yuri ended up winning 4.5 games against me, whereas Mick only won 4. So I mean, just by that criteria, this seemed clear.
It's the ultimate record. I know when I want to find out how good someone is, I go look up league record against Tracer, and then I know.
Yeah. All right. We have our sixth board here, where I guess people are gonna probably open either Wishing Well Blockade or Lighthouse Blockade. It's actually a little bit, I guess, funky early, just because your primary draw is gonna end up being Squirrel. And the reason that's a little bit funky is because, like, you want to be having lots of blockades, initially, and that makes it so that you are not playing squirrels because you are using your terminal space for blockade, which I'm sure is fine. It's just means that it'll take a little bit longer to get the big draw going.
Yeah, it takes some time, but it'll be there ultimately. I wonder how much you might get into the nomads pile at some point, just thinking that nomads are going to be your squirrels, relatively cheap.
I don't know. The other thing I'm noting right here is that there is Lighthouse, which means that there's at some point going to be virtually no problems with blockade. But we'll see.
Yeah, you should be able to lighthouse fairly consistently at some point, but you're not going to be able to add in lighthouses terribly quickly because all the other stuff is pretty pressing.
Yeah, I think the hope is more that like you only do need to have 2 of them, especially going like, through the game. Your hope is to draw almost everything at the end of your previous turn.
Yeah, you should be. There's no reason not to be consistent here.
Yeah,
you don't have to take curses off blockades, and
it'll just take
2 piles of villages and squirrel. So
yeah, it'll just take some time to get there. I'm a little bit concerned from the Yuri side that he's going to end up with like non-competitive on the number of blockades. Like Mick has this lighthouse out right here, so like if Yuri wants to be competitive on number of blockades, you're taking a curse here, and then Mick just isn't. And I mean, if you're Mick, you probably just keep taking blockades until you can't.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, blockade is the card here. Because you just want as many of these 4s as you can get.
Yeah.
And it is really rough to be in the spot where you have to take curses in order to continue to take blockades. But I think it's often correct to just eat that curse early on rather than later on, if you can see that it's coming where you're going to be behind.
Yeah, Mick's lighthouse on the last turn kind of mixed things up there, where like Yuri couldn't just take the curse and then say, you're going to have to take a curse for this one.
Right.
Like that's I think when you're taking the curse, the idea is like, yeah, sure, I'm taking curse, but then if you want another one, you also have to take a curse, and when that's not true, it's a little rough. I'm just going to comment that Chalice was probably like the absolute best loot Yuri could have gotten there.
I was just thinking that.
It's rare that that's the case, but in this case, it probably was.
Yeah, that plus buy is, that you don't have to draw up is really quite valuable here. More, for a number of reasons.
So Yuri's probably in a little bit better position to be drawing right away, but the question is like, even if you're doing a better job of drawing right now, is that actually going to matter at the end if we get to the point where it comes down to who has the ability to gain more cards? And
which the answer to that's probably no.
Yeah, the answer to that is almost surely no. Like, having more blockades, even if you're not drawing right now, it means that you will be drawing eventually. And presumably you don't even need to be drawing if you're seeing a blockade every turn, which, Mick has been blockade for the past, 5 turns, 4 turns. So you are playing a blockade every turn indeed.
And then it's
surely,
soon enough you'll be playing more than one.
Yeah, surely what your big goal is.
Not hitting 4 here is probably a little bit annoying.
Yeah, Yuri does have a lighthouse out, so there's maybe a little bit less incentive to blockade here rather than something that'll let you play multiple blockades next turn. I'm a little bit surprised that Mick ended up squirreling the lighthouse, just because it will make this turn a bit more awkward. Like this could actually kind of turn things around to where Yuri feels comfortable, taking 2 blockades here. I mean, I think he almost has to. Right. Like you have plenty of village in there. Let's take our 2 blockades and make sure that I'm competitive going forward.
Yeah, I think so. I think take the 2 blockades, especially because you can take ports with them.
Yeah, I think like you could have taken 2 blockades there and then bought the ports. If you leave the 1 blockade for Mick, if it has 2 curse things on it, like that's so not happening, right?
Yeah, you would not take 2 curses, I would think, as Mick or a blockade.
I'm also going to comment that this game is nearly over.
The piles here are not going to stick around.
Yeah. Alright, Bishop comes in. Mick has recognized that the game is nearly over. We have a lighthouse out now. That's the chalice. This chalice is going to keep confusing me because I'm going to see like set aside blockade 2, and then I'm going to see play area 3, and I'm just going to assume it's a lighthouse when it's actually the chalice. Not that I think they'll be that long to be confused with by it, but staff, huh? Yeah, that's decent for squirrels, maybe. I'm not sure how much the loot is actually gonna do. I mean, it's actually probably nice to have the plus buy for piling. But there's so much village that I don't know if it's better than just keeping whatever action card around instead. You can get nomads. Like if you're really doing a peril port for loot, like maybe you would have rather just bought nomads even if you didn't have 4 and couldn't.
Yeah, the periling to add loot here is not really a great way to get back into it, because the other stuff you're doing is all pretty terribly worthwhile.
I don't actually think that Yuri's that far out of it. The one turn where Mick stopped blockading blockade seemed like it really opened some amount of door, or opened the door a crack.
I think a bit, although I still think Mick is in a position to be squirreling ahead of time a little bit more here.
Yeah. Let's see, probably play one of these and squirrel the last 3. I don't even know if you feel like you need to really play the bishop right now. You could just buy province if points is really something you feel like you need.
Yeah, I think I like all that. Just take the draw. Take the draw for now. Squirrel's an excellent thing to be doing with cards.
Yeah. Something of note, Mick actually will have enough to win this next turn, I think. If Mick draws fully, it will be there's 3 blockades and there's plus buy, and there's a bishop, so there's probably nothing that Yuri is able to do to prevent it if Mick draws. Which is a rather substantial if, but We'll see. Like even if Yuri Province is here, which surely will be what happens.
How so? Oh, right, with 8 points. Yeah. I counted to 7. It stopped for some reason. But yeah. I mean, Mick is not guaranteed to draw. But the Minstrels is...
Whoa. 2 squirrel blockades, huh? So I guess what Yuri's thinking is that, like, I just need to draw fully next turn and we'll worry about what I need to gain later. Yeah, three minstrels. I am not seeing a way in which we get past this turn. Like, you need to figure out where 3 blockades are. There's 1, you need to figure out where your bishop is, and then it's over. I guess this could still... Somehow? No, okay. There was no way it could go So, Mick will win the, I guess we'll call it a concession game. Although, we have been surprised in the past. I'll just... Maybe I think I'm comfortable declaring this one. Yeah, another league win for Yurikamome, who is, I guess, with that pretty clearly the dominant league force right now until next week, when everything resets, and. Congratulations once again. Thank you, breppert, for commentating with me. This, for me, it's actually what started in the early morning, and it is no longer early morning, but that's your championship match, and we'll see you all hopefully for next season. Those of you who are playing and those of you who are watching or spectating, see you watching or spectating again. And anything you'd like to sign us off with?
Yep, just see y'all.
All right. In that case, see you all.